I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. She performed as Victoria on the 5th U.S. National Tour. So welcome, Jean Michelle Sayeg, and thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited. The 5th tour, because I know I've talked to a bunch of people, and it was many years, but I think you were towards the beginning of the 5th tour. So I've now heard some of the chaos that you all dealt with in the beginning of the 5th tour. But before we get to the 5th, we'll get to your experience in production and some of the craziness. But we got to start at the beginning with your cat's history. So when did you first see the show? When did you first learn about the show? Like, what was your introduction to cats?
Okay, well, I'm like maybe a lot of others. I did not see the show until about 200 shows after I performed it.
You never watched it?
I
like you were in it.
Okay, I saw the video, the VHS, the night before I auditioned.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I was little and it came to LA, my parents saw it. And we said, how was the show and whatever. And my mom was like, well, there was people dressed as cats and they crawled around and danced and sang. And it was kind of confusing and kind of that kind of a thing. So that was always my impression of the show. And I never saw it. And I had the opportunity after dancing professionally in a ballet company. We were on a break and I came home and my mom was like, there's an audition for Cats. I think you should go. And I said, but did you like that show? And she said, you should audition for the show. And I was thinking, well, I was in a ballet company. I was really on that path. And then I said, well, do you have to sing in the show? And she said, well, probably. So then my brother, who's now a lighting designer, was like, you need to watch the show. He brings the VHS into the room. We put it on. We watch it, the whole thing. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be in this show, then I want to be the white cat. Because she does all the dancing. I mean, besides, like, many of them, everyone, there's dancing all over the place. That I just sort of fell in love with her. And so that night, it's late at night, I tore through my dance clothes and decided ironically to wear all black. And I went to the audition the next day. So that was sort of like my introduction to even make it to the audition. I
love the fact that your parents saw it and they were like, yeah, it was okay. Like they were just like, they weren't a pro or con against it. It was something they saw that rolled through town and they were like, you're good. We'll take you to other stuff later.
Yeah. I think they sort of appreciated different kinds of shows with like, storylines, historical, whatever, or a great musical. This is a great musical. However, now that I've done it a million times, they're huge fans of the show. Yeah. We brought so much depth and understanding to their lives with this. So
yeah. So you did see the VHS. So you got to watch that right before, like night before, like hours before.
Late night before.
Okay. So you had at least that introduction.
I knew I would be dancing.
Yes. And then you go to this audition. From ballet to, which is a good progression because it's a Victoria. That is a very ballet kind of dance. And you
absolutely
get the role.
Yeah. We had 2 days of auditions. Right away, they sort of, taught us one of the sections to sort of clear through. And then we went on to the ball and I feel like we just danced our faces off. And I mean, we were exhausted, but I was just, something in me wanted it so bad. But I was also really nervous that they were going to call me back and have me come in and sing. And, you know, coming from the ballet world, I wasn't that, you know, I wasn't, I had dabbled in musical theater as a young girl, but I was a little bit freaking out. So I got called back. And then, you know, the last of the day, maybe there was like 12 of us. Everyone got their vocal books out, warming up their voices. I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Everyone's, hey, doing all this stuff. And I was freaking out. And I just went to my car and I just sat there over and over and just sang happy birthday, and got it ready to go. And then came back in. And I was, of course, last after everyone. And they said, hey, Jean Michelle, you know, what are you going to sing for us today? And I said, happy birthday. And they said, great. Why don't you go over to Kristen at the piano and she can work that out with you. Kristen Blodgett, who I had no idea who that was at the time, and who couldn't have been lovelier to me. She said, you know, great, you're going to sing happy birthday. And I said, yes. And she said, what key would you like that in? And I was like, and she was like, and I was like, that's perfect. Let's do it. So we did it. It went well. And they said, great, can you come back tomorrow? So I said, okay. And then I came back the next day and they taught me the Victoria solo. And that was it. And I think about a month later, I got my call that I got the job.
It's so fascinating because the audition, like as someone who doesn't do this for a living or ever has done it, didn't even, you know, do any like musical theater growing up. So like I was never auditioning or casting for any of this stuff. It's kind of fascinating to hear like honestly how difficult and nerve wracking those situations are. But I kind of like, I'm thinking about now that you get this. So you get this job now. And I'm going back to like your parents are just like, oh yeah, there were just some people as cats dancing. And you've only seen one night of VHS to prep. What was what was your reaction the first time you heard the story they told you? Like, was it a holy hell, there's so much going on here, I did not realize there's a depth there? Or did you kind of like, oh, I saw some of that from the movie? Like when they walked through the story?
No, I think when I watched the movie, I was quickly seeing like what was going to be happening the next day, just sort of like what the gist was. I wasn't sitting back just sort of relaxing into the story, but it was a lot of information to see, a lot. So I had to just, you know, take it piece by piece. When they started telling us about the story, I don't think it was anything they told us was overwhelming because it was like, what? It's so unusual. It's not just a regular story. So you're trying to wrap your head around any piece of material they're giving you about this group of cats. And then, which is helpful, it just gets deeper and deeper as you go when you're learning it. So, you know, it's a long process of learning the story, I think.
Yeah. I find that whole part fascinating because as someone who like saw it and then didn't think about it and then now knows way too much about it. But like, I'm imagining the, like a circle, like a powwow almost of all of you in rehearsals, just being told this like in-depth story of cats that besides the super fans, like 95% of the people that go see the show one time are not going to pick up most of it. And so it's always such a fascinating piece of like, you're going into this, it's going to be your future now for the foreseeable future. You know, you're going on a contract to then basically take that all in on top of I've got to learn the Victoria solo and I got to learn the ball and I got to learn all the dancing and the singing and all the other stuff. But it's such an interesting piece because the story is so loose that like, that's the part that's always fascinated me of this process of like, I want to be a fly on the wall in one of those rooms one time when they go through the whole story.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I feel like I'm sure I'm sure I was probably the only one that had never seen it before. It seems like, sometimes before you go to an audition, you've either seen the show or you've really prepared. And this was sort of very last minute for me. But I felt like, everyone probably was a little bit ahead of the game. Maybe a lot of people came from New York and, so I was just like, wow, what is all this? And I wanted to be like, Mom, you did not tell me that this was the story of the show.
Yeah. So. But did your parents pick that up?
Well, we could go back and ask, but I think at the time, maybe like in the moment while they were there were things that, they picked up. But I think generally, they probably not. Probably a lot of dancing and singing of cats, but why it was happening and why someone went away and why are we hearing all these stories, Yeah.
Well, and it's really interesting too, because if you take just Victoria's arc, it's like a coming of age story. And so it's did they recognize that and then to come watch you do that on stage later? Yeah,
I don't know.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit. You're now doing the show. Your tour seemed like a little crazy with some of the stuff I heard about Atlantic City and some of the stops.
I didn't go to Atlantic City.
Oh, you didn't go to Atlantic City? Okay.
No.
So you missed it seemed like a very crazy stop.
We started in Biloxi, Mississippi at the casino for a month, I believe.
Okay.
And we did our shortened version of the show.
Okay, so what's the shortened version? Who's cut?
Well, we didn't have, I think it was probably similar. It was at the Atlantic City that they did the shortened version.
That was their almost previews, essentially, is what they kind of called it. Yeah. Okay.
So I think they probably just did the same kind of thing with us. Also, when we were rehearsing in New York, there was only half of us. Because the other half was, they were on tour.
Still on the tour, okay.
And we were the new group coming in to meet them.
Okay.
Which was a very interesting dynamic because first we go to New York and we're rehearsing and we're meeting each other for the first time and crawling around on the floor with people we don't know, going can I lick your whatever, And then we all became so comfortable with each other. 3 weeks later or so, we go and we meet the group.
The rest.
They know their stories. They've been on tour. And they're comfortable with what their stories are and their relationships. And then here we come. And we had to blend. And I remember that first rehearsal so well. And it was crazy, but it was exciting. And it brought our level where we thought we were up so high. One of our last rehearsals in New York, Jillian Lynn actually came and watched a rehearsal of what we had ready to go. And that was beyond thrilling, which that performance for her rose our level exponentially. We were in a tiny studio and sweating on her, growling on her, and all of this stuff. And, her notes and stuff, she just brought us new depth. She actually called me out personally, and it's terrifying. Where's the little white pussycat? Grand Island, come here. And it was like the parting of the seas. And I was like, oh my gosh. Come here. And she proceeded to do the whole White Cat solo and explain the entire thing and the coming of age and how, really you're becoming a woman and you're feeling your body for the first time and how to do that and then you not to growl at the end when you touch the ground and go, okay, now you do it. It was just amazing.
What an experience. Yeah.
Amazing. So we felt really good after that. And then we met the other half of our cast and gosh, it was crazy. And they made us so much better. They were such good cats, which was so impressive.
Had a year of doing it, right? They're used to the mannerisms. So tell me a little bit about the tour. Tour seems crazy. What do you remember? Funny stories, kind of chaotic moments of being out doing, not just like on tour. I'm assuming tour is pretty crazy in general, but doing Cats on tour, like it's an interesting vibe at the theater because it's such a different show than a lot of other stuff that's rolling through towns, like especially across America.
Mm-hmm. I mean, tour-wise, it was my first time on tour, and probably a lot of ours. We were young and, oh my gosh, so excited. And I mean, it was thrilling because, you were signing autographs for the first time, and people are dressed like you, and, people would give you gifts. And I actually opened my Cats box today just to like look at memorabilia and stuff. And I have letters from families that were like, thank you so much for like paying attention to our 14-year-old son in the audience, or, this little girl came backstage and gave me her teddy bear, and, like all these wonderful things. Things like that were wonderful. Crazy. You're working really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the best workout of my life. 2.5 hours. I think besides when Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser are going on, we are dancing. My track was dancing, and there was such little time to rest. And even when you're not moving, you are totally on as an animal. So it was,
you're crawling and
Oh yeah. I mean, I was a kitten, so I was on the ground the whole time. Some of the bigger adult cats, they stood a lot more. But I did something crazy that happened on stage. I can't remember what city it was. Maybe he would remember. But right at the end of the ball, you're so tired. You've been working, and there's this little part at the end, this little paddle turn with your elbows out called whirligigs, I believe. And you're going. It's right before the end, and I am next to Tugger, and he goes, "Oh!" And I broke his nose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Our beautiful, beautiful Stan Stanley, Rum Tum Tugger. And he had to have surgery. He was out of the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So things happen all the time on stage, and you're going with it, and you're just making it part of the show. And, the audience doesn't know. I mean, God forbid you ever break character. It was really, I think, the best learning experience of acting for me. I mean, as a dancer, we're always acting. As singers, you're acting. But this was like a totally different level of acting and, becoming an animal and staying in character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's live theater, so there's always stuff that's going to happen. Like that's what makes it so unique, because everything's, every show is different. It's the touring life is crazy. It's like and the show is, you mentioned that it's like the best workout, but it is that was one of the things I walked away with the first time I saw it. Was like I couldn't tell you the plot, I couldn't tell you anything. I watched was like that looked so physically demanding that I was like impressed of the athleticism that it took to be able to do that, because it is just constantly on stage. And I think it's just Mungo Jerry Rumple Teaser, and I think that's it. I mean, there's
my gosh,
you maybe slow down a few times during memory, or like there are moments where if you're lucky, maybe you're sitting on a tire at the back instead of being on the ground, but it's still you're still on there, and you're still in cat basically.
For sure, you're engaged in the story and what's happening, or hanging on something. Your position could be something where you have to be holding on to a bar, or hanging upside down, or whatever.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died.
So I want to pivot a little bit, because you mentioned about the stories and how, when you joined the cast, you had they all had their stories. How much were you told, like when you became Victoria, you're doing your New York rehearsal, what did they tell you was her story? I mean, the coming of age, and Jillian's telling you that in the dance, but how much do they give you that, and then how much do you have to fill in the blank on?
I think what I really remember is them giving a little bit of a story. I feel like I remember that I was like a pampered house kitten. And, well taken care of. And that was sort of like that was where I came from. And, I'm a kitten, so I'm friends with all these like Rumble Teaser, Misto. I had a really good friendship, at least for me, with Misto and Rumble Teaser and Syllabub, all the little kittens. And I feel like they let us fill in the blanks a lot. A lot. As far as the choreography kind of gives you the storyline as certain things that you have to be a part of.
Yeah.
And then you really have some free range. As long as I'm not doing anything as Victoria that she definitely wouldn't do.
Totally. And I think it's a little easier because there's not the dialogue. So it's not like you can go make a bunch of changes to like what they would say. And you're staged and dancing with whoever you're dancing with and staged with who you're staged with. So, there's like who lifts you in your production? Is it Alonzo?
Tumble Brutus.
Tumble
with
Brutus,
my
okay.
boyfriend.
Yeah. And so that changes because that's Alonzo in some situations too. So it's like that is where you get some of these like interesting this dynamic versus that. So the cast that comes back, how much did they try to bring into that story? That they were like, oh no, hold on, new Victoria here. You got to play this or you got to play that.
I think there may have been like a little bit, but I think like a lot of our discussions with each other were never really done as people. They were kind of done as cats.
Yeah.
And it feels like most of the time we were cats, even though, if you really break down the day, you were probably a person longer, but it felt like we spent all of our time as cats, whether it was like in rehearsal or whatever. So anything we kind of had to discuss kind of felt like we were doing it between our characters, as weird as that sounds. So maybe they would try to do their old track with you that they did with someone else, and that didn't really. So you would kind of just, over time, we kind of just made our own story, which I think is what happens with every cast.
And that's why there's no clear answer, is because there's so many casts, there's different productions and then different years and different everything. And there are so many variations and slight tweaks to choreography and staging. And this stage isn't big enough. So these two are together now and they weren't normally. And so everyone fills in. Let me give you a couple that I want to know if you ever talked about or are things that you want. So is Grisabelle your mom?
I don't think so. I've heard that. I don't know if I remember hearing that when I was touring. And maybe if I heard it, I was kind of like, no, she's not my mom. But I do feel a very strong pull to her for whatever reason. I'm very connected to her. I'm always very interested in her and why everyone's so mean to her. I feel like I was very observant of when she would come on the stage and it would be like, hurry, 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 it's Grisabella, or don't look, or someone would protect the little kittens. And I would be like, why? What's going on? Why do we, so I felt like I was very questionable about that because I feel like my character really saw the good in the characters, especially her. And I wanted, I want to see the good in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one person say that they thought Victoria was last year's Jellicle choice, and that this year is the being reborn into this, like being reborn into Victoria. So, do you think that's like? Did you ever think about that?
Sorry. See, so this
essentially
year,
so Grisabelle goes to she's the choice. Whoever was Victoria was last year, and this is now their next life, and that's why you're younger and having your come of age story because you've just been reborn, basically.
I was Grisabella.
Potentially. I mean, that's, it depends on how you look at it every choice every year. Like, is there, yeah.
That is interesting.
The fans and everyone's have thought a lot about this. That's why this show exists. That's why a podcast exists.
I feel like all of that, I mean, maybe it happened before, but when we started becoming aware that these fans were doing this, it was mind-blowing. And crazy if they ever mentioned you. So I don't know if I think I think that's true. I think always everything's a possibility with the show. So I could see, if she was pretty ratty at the end, for her to come back like at this beautiful white, pristine, pure, I could see that. I could hop on board with that.
Okay. If you were talking to someone who's going to go play Victoria tomorrow, what advice would you give them?
Oh, well, gosh, have fun. Don't fall off your leg in the spotlight. Okay. I think to really, I feel like she has her own arc in the story, as far as her coming of age. And I feel like that's really important to depict in who she is at the beginning. And because not only does she change so much in the middle and then at the end, she also really changes the story of the show, what happens. So, when she accepts Bella at the end. So I would just say to really just get into deciding who your character is. And I just remember going through every move and like how I really felt, and just to really embrace the choreography and make it your own and just enjoy telling the story.
Yeah. Is there if you got to go back and do it, or if you got to like add to the story, what's one Victoria plotline you wish was like more brought into it?
Like a real plot line or a...
It could be either or. I think Victoria actually has one of the few, like most of the cats don't really have what I would call a plot line unless you're Grisabella. Like a lot of them have they pop in and they tell their own little story and then they pop out, and like everything else we're making up or we're assuming. But Victoria has like a full coming of age story. Like there's a little bit of a plot, and that's why in the like 2019 movie, I think they made her the narrator essentially. It's like everything is going to come through her eyes because you can kind of follow that story.
True.
So I'm curious, like it can be something that is out of left field that's kind of made up that you wish was part of Victoria's story, or it could be something where it's like, here's something we kind of never spoke, but we always assumed.
I don't really know.
It's been years since you did this show, so it's always fun to kind of like press everybody on these things.
Absolutely. I don't know. I think it'd be fun to see like a sassier side come out of her,
I like that.
And maybe that's just because that's me, and there's a side of me that is that way. But that would be fun because I feel like she always kind of idolized, and when I feel like she always idolized like Bomb and Demeter, and that she kind of like craved to be part of that group that was older, and I don't know, to like have some sort of situation there with them.
I like it. I think Victoria should join the McCavity song in the dance?
Well, she does. She does. We do the background.
Yeah. No, I'm talking like a trio instead of a duo.
No. Oh my gosh, I would love that. I mean, I definitely fantasized about singing McCavity. Our Demeter, Kate Varner, she was so fabulous. But and same with the Bomb Ballerina. But I would just do that background dancing and just belt my face off like I was preparing to go in for Demeter if it needed to happen, So I think it would be fun if Victoria had, some sort of play. She's come of age. She's ready to be there. I want to see what McCavity's all about. I want to feel a little danger.
Yeah. That's part of Cats too, I guess. Cause like that's your story ends before we can get you there as Victoria.
Yeah.
Let's do some rapid fire on the show. So if you could go on for any cat one night, forget if it's male, female, vocal range, if you could just do one track for the day, who would you want to do?
Okay. So that's really hard. Even though
you can pick more than one. You can pick more than one.
I'll do like a mini of each.
Okay.
because honestly, after you're a part of the show, I think we could all appreciate every single person and what they do. I think, like I said, I think I've always wanted to be Demeter. One time, Demeter and I, between shows, we switched. She always wanted to be Victoria. And so we switched costumes and did our makeup just to take a picture. And
Wow.
and so at least we have that. So, I think I've always wanted to be Demeter. And I just feel like it would be really fun to act that and to sing it and everything.
Mhm.
However, I just want to sing Touch Me at the end. I mean, I just want to feel that
Belt it one
so
time.
bad. And
Yeah.
so I think it'd be amazing to be Grizz for that. I love the fact that in my role, I got to dance so much. So that would be hard to give up to be Grizz, but to just, oh my gosh.
It's also kind of the opposite because you're only on stage for like 15 minutes. Like you're on stage the whole time, and Grizz is on stage for a few dances and then sing.
Yeah. And I actually roomed with our Grizz, Dee Rossioli, who's just ridiculously amazing. And she was just so funny because we were just sweating and dripping. And she would be backstage knitting. Oh, hi, guys. And then she'd come on and be like, singing like the most glorious voice ever. And we would just be crying every night. Like it just was amazing. So
yeah, the first time I was like, wait, they're really only on stage for 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, but they have a talent to do that. It's the opposite because most of them could never do Victoria. And it's like, that's why everybody has their role. So it's
so special.
Show filled with incredible talent in so many different ways.
And we all learn from each other so much on the show. Like Dee would give me voice lessons and I would give her ballet lessons.
Wow.
Actually, and same with our conductor, D. Scott Ferguson. He would take ballet lessons from me and he would give me vocal lessons. And everyone did that with each other on tour.
That's so cool.
It was amazing. Everyone was so good. People were learning how to tap. People were learning how to tumble. Oh my gosh. We all went to a tumbling gym. I think it was in Detroit. And all of us, by the end of it, were doing standing back tucks.
Wow.
Like, yeah. Our McCavity co-warden taught us all, like, we all were doing back layouts. Like, I don't even know how it happened. It was magic. So we learned a lot from each other.
Yeah. Who are your favorite and least favorite characters in the show?
Okay. As a person or as my character?
I ask it as a person, but it seems to blur more times than not when I ask because you basically embodied your character for so long that it's like you kind of embrace that. But I'm curious as you as a person.
Oh gosh, I don't know why I wasn't thinking of this before when I was thinking about it. Like, who is my favorite cat? But right when you just said it, I thought Misto.
Okay.
It's funny though, because I don't think I would have said that before, but
another great dance number.
And I feel I've always been really good friends with all the Mistos, but I love that part when I just get to watch them work it and do their magic, and the audience is just so amazed and having the best time. So I love that part of the show.
It is a crowd pleasing moment almost every time.
Yeah.
What about Lee's favorite? I'm not gonna let you off the hook. There's gotta be somebody.
This is the worst question ever.
Oh no, there's definitely one that bugs you. There's always one.
Well, I don't think. I don't know if there's anyone that bugs me.
I treat this as like a family member question. Like, you got they're still family, you still love them, but there's that one that's like, this one.
Okay. I think even though I liked doing this number, I think Jenny does.
Okay.
But I also loved it. I loved doing the tap dance. She was fabulous. I feel like if you're talking about like Thanksgiving dinner, it's kind of a lot. It's like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of noise. It's a lot. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of performing. But it's hard because I like Jenny.
Yeah. It's a good answer. I've only had one or two people refuse to answer it, and I'm always like, no, there's definitely one. There's definitely one. It's got to be one. I mean, it's usually Bustifer. Bustifer is a very common answer.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah.
Or my answer has always been Peter, but I don't think Peter was on your tour. It's just Bustifer and Gus's dancing cat in the beginning.
Yeah.
So usually, again, there's one. Okay, we can move on. What's your favorite song from the show?
Well, I mean, I think I'm going to have to say Memory because, I mean, I don't want to have to be so like, Memory is my favorite song. But I just remember sitting, like, after the whole show, you know, you have worked hard, you have put your whole body, your whole emotion, everything into it. When Grizz would come out and sing that, I literally was brought to tears. Like, almost every time, just chills on all of us. We're just brought together for that moment, and it was beautiful. It was totally sensational. I feel that's why, because she made it that way for me.
Yeah, this isn't good for my last question.
I know.
It's okay. My last few have not been votes for Grizz, so I'm like, it's gonna normalize back to the positive. Which cat do you think would be the best living on tour? Like, who would be living their best life on a tour bus? If you just take the character.
Oh, who would do tour well? What cat?
Yeah. Which cat would be like thriving in a tour environment? I have thoughts on this, so don't worry if you can't. I can give you my answers after.
Well, I guess it depends on what kind of a tour cat you're talking about. You know, like living their best life, or just like doing the work, or what?
Yeah. You can answer. It's funny you asked that, because my two answers to this answer that question exactly polar opposites. Depending on which way you interpret it, one answers this and one answers that.
Gosh. Well, this is sort of not a real cat, but I would have to say living their best life on tour would have to go to our swing cat that we named Spike. So it's kind of
okay. Tell me more about Spike.
Path here. Spike was our friend Tucker Ty Davis. He played many, many cats, but sometimes he would come on for the generic cat. And this cat was wild. Like, he would come up and lick your whole face during a part where you couldn't move, and you would have to take it. And he would cause all kinds of shenanigans and have fun and dance and sing and just lived his best life. So I think for a very interesting and fun tour, Spike would be a good option for tour life. So
Spike is just a dancing ensemble number in the beginning, right? But is
he
Spike
wore like a generic brown unitard?
I don't think I've ever heard about Spike before.
I think we made up his name. I don't think it was official. I think he made up the name.
I love it. Because I think that's
add that to your repertoire.
It also, so is that also, like, it's a swing. It's not like it's the Bus Gus track that's dancing in the beginning.
No, I don't think it was, because he went on for specific roles. He did Misto, he did Pounciful.
Okay.
For whatever reason, he would go on as Spike. Can't remember like when this all happened, but we knew. We were like, watch out, Spike's on.
That is fun little...
It would change your pattern. It would change your track, because you would either want to avoid it happening to you.
I have so many questions, because I'm like, where does Spike fit in? Like, there's the dancing ensemble in the beginning, and there's definitely like they add people to that, but it's usually like and most of my knowledge is the Andy Blankenbuehler more recent one. And so it's like there's Baby Grizz, which is essentially they sometimes make the Grizzabella go out and just do the opening number dance, and it's like lightly changed, but makeup and costume. Right. And then the Bus Gus track goes and does some of this, but there's an entire separate, just generic unitard, like not one of those characters that would go out as a swing to fill in basically when maybe you needed somebody was out and they just weren't going to be that character the whole time. I guess. I don't know. I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'll send you a whole thing about it. I'll talk to him about it. That is,
Get the info.
Maybe I need to talk to Spike.
Maybe you do.
I'll find out what the whole Spike situation is. Yeah, you're gonna have to put me in touch with Spike.
He was crazy on stage.
For an yeah, well, I love the like freedom because it's not like you're Alonzo today or you're this particular person, because they've named some of those in the beginning, and then but almost all of them are another cat that's going to come later,
right?
And they're just dancing in the beginning, and they have a different name for that particular cat, but they're just like loosely changed. Because I think McCavity has one, and like there's a couple, but I love the fact that there was just a separate swing. And I was like, nope, I'm going to come in and just cause chaos.
Oh, yeah. He would stir things up. And it was good. It was good for the show, really. I mean, because although really every night the show is changing. And that's what I love most of the show, is that it's not a show that you're doing, 8 shows a week. It's the same show every day or whatever. It is literally different every night. Even if the audience thinks it looks exactly the same every night, it is different. And that's what kept us so entertained as performers and just obsessed.
And that's... And honestly, is what makes this show so like continue 120 plus episodes in, is because I've talked to 25 productions and all those different characters. I've never once heard about a Spike or even the idea of a Spike.
Oh, I'm glad
it's
we
like,
could bring it to you.
It's so fun to hear all these different like nuances to the show that's been running for so long, because there's all the like, there's so much stuff not documented about this show. There's a lot of theories and thoughts and way too much fan fiction that I ever thought I'd need to read. But there's all these other little strange and fun little quirks that don't change the show every day, but do change the show every day. And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay. $1 million question. I've already got length that I don't think it should be Grisabella. Sounds like you're leaning that way, but I want to hear your defense if you're going to defend her, or if not, who you would pick.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot of similar answers and a lot of different ones too. But I mean, I think Victoria trusts the decision. You know, I think she sees the good. She wants, what Duke wants, and she supports it. She supports it. I think she wants it to be Grizz. And if it's not going to be Grizz, then it can be Gus. You know what I mean? He's ready. It's okay. But I think, maybe Gus was expecting it, and maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was good for him to see someone else go. Just
that. Okay.
I don't know.
That could be
not
an argument.
I
think he was ready, and it was his.
I know.
And then she comes back, and my beef with that currently is that I think she needs to spend a year with the family and go next year. And so that alone is like, that gives you your redemption, that gives you your arc, that gives you your acceptance. You get the exact same story, but minus the like showy ending, which you still probably need for, for theater. But
for sure.
From a pure family, if I'm looking at this not like a musical theater number and just more of like the family's making this call, I want her to go next year. I want her to spend a year, go to some birthday parties, hang out. And have some dinners.
I think that is a perfectly good answer as well, because everyone's on board with her right now. So it's a good time for her to feel that love that she has been missing for a really long time. And, like reconnect her friendships and all that, and have that moment. I see it both ways. It's very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've argued this so much at this point that I'm like, I've got the numbers down to she's less than half the votes. And so that's really where I'm happy about, is that I'm getting, I've gotten it to the point where now she's less than half. And I think that's a win. It's a win in my book.
Yeah.
This is super fun. Thank you so much for coming on. How can people stay in touch with you or keep up with anything you're doing?
You can find me at JM Sayeg, Sayeg. On Instagram.
Awesome.
And
this was so fun. Anytime I learn something new, which happens still most of the episodes, but like I'm gonna be thinking about Spike the rest of the day. It's not good. I'm gonna just be sitting here going like, all right, what could Spike be doing? Like, what's Spike's backstory? What else do I need to learn about Spike? I need to talk to Spike is really what it comes down to.
Sounds good.
So, well, thank you so much for being here. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh. such a fun way to go through memory lane again of all these people and cats that we love.
I know. Keep the memory alive. That's the goal.
Exactly.
So, well, thank you. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Round Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.